So, all right, let's head into nerd news as we close out the show. We're going to talk about DC Universe. Allegedly, tomorrow is the day that James Gunn is going to announce the new slate for DC. And so, Robbie, I just want to start with you as the biggest DC nerd guy on this show so far. What expectations do you have right now of this slate? Like, what to you is going to be a walk away of, okay, I feel safe in the hands of James Gunn. I feel like we're in good hands. I feel good about this slate. Is there anything he can do to make you feel that way?
We've talked about this at length on other episodes, but I feel like James Gunn is the right call. My concern has always been with DC is how do you right the ship? And I think we've talked about how righting the ship here would just be destroy everything and go away for a few years. I don't see them doing that. I see them. I thought it would have been the Flash would be the way to like restart everything, but we have an Aquaman movie after the Flash, so you can't do that. So it's just I really don't know what the path is. The path is my concern. I think once we get there, once James Gunn's like hands are on all the projects and he has an idea of where we're going, I think then we'll be okay. It's how do we get to that point without making it this convoluted and confusing mess? Because that's what it's been so far. It's like DC a couple years ago was really pushing this multiverse thing, but they never really explained it. But they said it all works in the multiverse, but they never gave like a good explanation to the people going to the films about the multiverse. So it's like, how do you just come out now and say this? Because Marvel's been talking about the multiverse with like all these Quantumanium trailers,
Sure.
with Doctor Strange, with Spider-Man. So now they have like 3 like properties and Loki. So 4 properties
Right.
before DC gets anything out about the multiverse. Talking about the multiverse is coming. So they have a plan to get there and to explain things, and that's going to explain like the X-Men and Deadpool and all that stuff. How do we take the Flash and Aquaman and somehow get there? That's my concern. I don't know the answer. If James Gunn can figure out an answer, then I think we'll be fine. But it's just how do we get from that's the first step. Like, how do we get there? How do we get to the start of James Gunn's DC universe with the crap that we have to still come out for some reason?
What's also interesting too, Robbie, is so tomorrow, apparently it's going to be 11 o'clock Central, 12 Eastern. That's according to Grace Randall. Now,
You found a time. Wow.
that's what Grace says. Now
Grace, you're using
Grace
Grace as
Randolph.
your source.
That's the problem. It's Grace Randolph.
Sketch.
I know. Yeah, exactly. So here's just like, here's my question to you, Isaac. Marvel can't go 5 minutes without a leak. they make so much crap, but like people are just so easy to let things out of the bag out of Marvel.
Right.
We love them for that. I personally think some of it's intentional, but that's neither here nor there. Do you think DC really has some stuff to share tomorrow, Isaac? Or do you think it's going to be like, Superman and that's it? We'll see you soon.
That's a great question. I do think James Gunn has things to share. Will he share it tomorrow? That's the thing that I'm like, maybe he won't share it tomorrow. Maybe it'll take him a week. Maybe it'll take him a month. I don't know. But I think he does have things on his slate. I think he's got stuff that he wants to announce eventually. I just don't know when that's going to be.
Well, by the time this episode goes live, that stuff will have either already been announced or it's gotten kicked down the can down the line to not be announced.
Exactly.
So the speculating on that is, for the listener, probably irrelevant. So then my question to both of you is, what is the winning property that needs to be on this list? Or I guess properties. What are the winning properties that need to be on this list? Robbie, we'll start with you.
Gosh, that's tough because what we know
has to be on this list for you to go.
Well, what we know of James Gunn right now is he can take obscure characters and make them household names. Guardians of the Galaxy was not a household name, no matter who you asked. And Mr.
Sure. Yes.
TikTok
Yes.
commenters, they are like, no one knew who they were.
You're absolutely right.
Peacemaker was not a known name. Most of the
Nowhere
people in
close.
Suicide
Yeah.
Squad were known names. So now you're going to give James Gunn arguably the trifecta of biggest names in comic books. Maybe not anymore, but that would have been the staple years ago
The
with
Trinity.
Big
Yeah.
Three, the Trinity. You have Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. You're golden as long as you make okay movies. So my
I'm
concern,
hearing you say Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. That's what I'm hearing you say right now.
that's your answer. If you're going to build this universe, that's your answer. You start. You don't have to. I will say this. I think you have to start with Superman, and obviously
Yes.
they've done that a bunch. But that's where DC starts. That's the
I
golden
agree.
boy. That's where you
I
have
agree.
to start. I don't think James Gunn will. I will say that right now. I don't think he's starting with Superman.
And I have no like sources because I am looking on some Reddit boards to see if I can find some stuff for conversation. I have no source on this, but I think Superman is the answer too, Robbie. I'm on the opposite side of that coin. I think Superman will be the first thing they announce tomorrow. I think they might even have an actor. Because if I'm James Gunn, I want people to trust me right out the gate. I'm coming out with that. And I'm saying we're doing a multiverse story down the line, so we're going to get Cavill and all these other guys back. Oh, by the way, we're doing Aquaman, but Momoa's coming back to play Lobo. I think Lobo and Superman are on that list because you got to get people hyped about Lobo coming back. I think an obscure property, and I don't really have an answer for that. Maybe it's the
I
Mexican
think
gods. I don't know. I'm trying to think like
we
what would
are
be
going
a
to get
good
a
property.
lot of obscure properties. If anything gets announced tomorrow, if there's let's say there's a slate. Let's
Sure,
say there's a slate for like a 3-year plan.
sure,
I imagine if there's a 3-year plan, I bet there's 5 properties that are either
yeah,
TV shows or movies that are just random, like a small minority of like comic fans know who they are, like DC diehards know who they are, but everyone else is like, what
sure.
the F is that? I
Yeah, like
imagine
Booster Gold. Yeah, like
no,
we're gonna get
Booster
a
Gold's
Booster Gold.
decently well known. I
You
imagine
think
like
so?
there's
Oh wow, I think a majority of
in
people wouldn't know who Booster Gold is.
comic book fans know Booster Gold. I'm thinking
Okay,
like
all right. You're thinking even more,
I'm thinking
more.
even more obscure
Mm,
than that. So
wow.
I have no because that's just James Gunn's thing.
He'll
Like,
do at least one. I agree with that. But I think on the flip side of your argument of like, if he made those guys big, imagine what he could do as Superman is my thought. And that's
right.
why it's fascinating. I think my answer is double down on the Batman. We already have Superman, an obscure property, Lobo, and a TV show that has Peacemaker in a crossover with somebody else. He's going to be fighting alongside her with some other. Maybe that's where maybe Doom Patrol comes back. I know he's ended that, but maybe he finds a way to bring those guys back because they're really, really, really people love that show.
I don't think that's him ending that. I think that's an HBO Discovery thing.
Yeah, which is it's a shame because that show is really doing well.
The people that like that show really like that show.
They love it. Isaac, who do you think?
I think. I mean, I think I'm with you, Max. I mean, why? Why would you publicly say that Henry Cavill is not coming back as Superman and then not announce something Superman? I don't know. That
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense to me. So I feel like Superman has to be on that list. And I think you're definitely onto something with the like properties that nobody's ever heard of too, Robbie. I think there's definitely going to be a few of those thrown in there. I don't, man. Where I'm kind of like questioning is we have the DC Trinity, which I mean, like you guys already mentioned, is probably the best well known characters in superhero history. We have Gal Gadot, who technically is still Wonder Woman. Like
Yeah.
James Gunn hasn't said that Gal Gadot is not coming back as Wonder Woman,
Right.
and we have Pattinson as Batman already. What are we doing with these properties? Like, I think there's got to be some clarity on even if he's not announcing new properties, there's got to be some clarity on the state of the DCEU right now. Like,
Sure.
because he's definitely announced a lot of things. He's announced that there's a lot of stuff not coming back, but he probably needs more clarity in what is and isn't coming back. I mean, really, the only thing we know is that he's bringing his own stuff back, is pretty much all we know, and that Cavill's not coming back. He already obviously talked about that, but
Right.
like,
And
there's a
Black
lot of
Adam.
questions on the table. So I think, and Black Adam, yeah.
Thank God.
I think there's got to be more clarification from James Gunn more than anything. But I think a couple properties. Number one is I sent it in the group chat before, but My Time to Shine Hello. It's a pretty well respected like scooper Twitter account. They said that they weren't going to leak anything, but they sent a GIF of Swamp Thing as something that probably will be announced.
They
So
then
Swamp
backpedaled
Thing,
and said it was a joke.
they did. Oh,
They
okay.
did.
Well, I didn't see that part. So, uh, I wouldn't be surprised because the Swamp Thing show that they had wasn't terrible, and I think
Yeah, it was okay.
a lot of people liked it. So I would be surprised if that's a property they went with. One other thing that popped into my mind was the Question. We haven't really had a great. He's definitely an animated like stuff across the years, but a live action Question like detective show would be kind of cool. So, but beyond that, I'm not a huge DC guy, so I'm not like, clamoring for any really little characters to come to the big screen or
I
anything.
think a
And
Dead Man movie would be great too.
that would be interesting.
Dead Man
Yeah,
will probably be coming.
I feel like, and
I
it's
don't
due
know.
to probably CGI constraints, but we really haven't had a lot of like Martian Manhunter in live action. We definitely have,
Yeah,
he's a character there, but he hasn't been a main focus, and that would be
sure.
interesting. There's definitely a lot of things that they could do, but I'm just looking more for clarity on what the heck is going on with the DC.
And I
U.
think that's got to be the biggest answer. Thank you for saying that. Like, I think that's all people want with DC. We're so forgiving. I mean, the Batman,
Yeah.
Robbie, you just a couple weeks ago said the Batman was the best movie of 2022.
Yes, because it was.
So the point I'm saying is, like, I think people would forgive if you just get a couple, knock off 3 or 4 in a row,
Right.
stay to the course of your plan. I think we can do this. Man, brutal.
they-
It's
they could
amazing.
definitely
Seem
do it.
like that hard, but DC and WB likes to make it hard.
I just don't understand how their universe is restarting before Marvel. I don't get it. How did Marvel have Endgame and their universe is restarting? Doesn't make sense. That's brutal.
And we've talked about it so many times. Like,
right.
DC in the comic books on paper has better lineup. Justice League has a better lineup than Marvel and the Avengers.
And they have incredible storylines that they can follow. Like,
yes.
by all accounts, they should be bigger right now. But Marvel got the jump and they got the ball rolling.
Marvel
And
didn't get the jump.
That's why
stayed consistent. They stayed consistent. Held to their guns.
That's why I want a universe where Kevin Feige goes to DC instead of Marvel. That's what I want. If I had a genie here, if there was a genie here who gave me 3 wishes.
Oh, Feige would have.
Is that one of them? That might be one of them.
Genie gives you 3 wishes, and that's one of them.
It might be one of them.
Feige.
If Feige was running this whole thing right out the gate, Robbie,
it'd be
where
insane.
would he have started? Would he have started with Batman or Superman?
Superman. Start with Superman.
Man.
Because that's where you start.
But would he have made